September 1944. On a tiny, sun-scorched island in the Pacific, thousands of American Marines prepared for what their commanders promised would be a quick 3-day battle. They were wrong. That island, Peleliu, would become one of the most brutal and haunting conflicts of the entire war. A place where the coral rock was as sharp as shrapnel, the heat was suffocating, and death lurked in every shadow. This is the story of the forgotten hell of the Pacific. By mid-1944, the Allied forces were on a relentless island-hopping campaign, pushing ever closer to Japan. The next objective was Peleliu, a seemingly insignificant strip of land only 6 miles long, but strategically important for its Japanese airfield. U.S. commanders, led by Admiral Nimitz, believed securing this airfield was essential to protect General MacArthur's flank during his upcoming invasion of the Philippines. Maps were drawn, plans were made, and an overwhelming force was assembled. However, even before the first boots hit the sand, whispers of doubt echoed through the ranks. Some high-ranking officers questioned the necessity of the invasion. Was Peleliu truly worth the blood that would inevitably be spilled? The decision was made, and the wheels of war churned forward, setting the stage for a tragedy of monumental proportions. On the morning of September 15, 1944, the invasion began. Over 10,000 Marines of the 1st Marine Division stormed the beaches under a blistering 115-degree sun. There was no shade, no cover, and the pre-invasion naval bombardment, though massive, had barely scratched the enemy's defenses. The Marines expected a swift if difficult fight. Instead, they walked into a perfectly engineered meat grinder. The Japanese defenders, under the command of Colonel Kunio Nakagawa, had abandoned their traditional suicidal banzai charges. They had learned from past defeats. On Peleliu, they had spent months transforming the island as natural coral ridges and caves into an interlocking fortress of death. They had dug over 500 reinforced caves, connected by a network of tunnels, creating a defensive system that was almost impossible to destroy from the air or sea. The Marines on the beach were met with a storm of artillery, mortar, and machine gun fire, precisely targeted from hidden positions in the ridges overlooking the landing zones. The coral terrain shattered into razor-sharp projectiles with every explosion, adding to the carnage. Progress was measured in yards, and every yard was paid for in lives. The fighting was savage and claustrophobic. Flamethrowers and demolition charges became the primary tools for clearing the caves, turning the island's interior into a hellscape of fire and smoke. Marines had to fight for every ridge, every pillbox, and every dark, suffocating tunnel, often in brutal hand-to-hand combat. The battle for the main ridge, which the Marines grimly nicknamed Bloody Nose Ridge, dragged on for weeks. What was supposed to be a 3-day operation turned into a grueling 2-month nightmare. The human cost was staggering. The 1st Marine Division, the same hardened unit that had fought on Guadalcanal, was effectively destroyed as a fighting force. Of the thousands of Marines who landed, over 6,500 were killed or wounded, a casualty rate approaching 40%. The U.S. Army's 81st Infantry Division was brought in as reinforcements and suffered nearly 3,300 casualties of their own. For the Japanese, the battle was an act of national sacrifice. The garrison of nearly 11,000 soldiers fought with ferocious determination, nearly to the last man. Only a few hundred were taken prisoner, most of them wounded. And for what? The bitter irony of Peleliu is its strategic irrelevance. The airfield, the very reason for the invasion, was captured but ultimately played no significant role in the Philippines campaign. General MacArthur's invasion proceeded without needing air cover from Peleliu. The battle, one of the bloodiest in the entire Pacific theater, was fought and won for a prize that was never used. It was a tactical victory that amounted to a strategic dead end. The immense sacrifice of the soldiers who fought there had been, in the cold calculus of war, for nothing. Today, Peleliu is a quiet island, littered with the rusted relics of war, tanks, planes, and guns slowly being reclaimed by the jungle. It stands as a silent, somber monument to the thousands of lives lost in its unforgiving terrain. For decades, the battle was largely overshadowed by larger, more famous campaigns like Iwo Jima and Okinawa. It became a forgotten footnote in the grand narrative of World War II. But for the men who survived it, the memory of that merciless sun and the labyrinth of coral and death would never fade. They were the ones who paid the price for a tragic miscalculation, a price written in blood on the shores of a forgotten hell. Thank you for watching. The story of Peleliu is a powerful reminder of the true cost of war, and it's vital that we remember the sacrifices made there. If you found this story meaningful, please like this video and subscribe to our channel for more deep dives into history's forgotten chapters. We'll see you next time.